Welcome back, everybody.
I was explaining to you.
Flex for us.
No.
We are back on BVarsity Live. Our many thanks to Ron Chetty and Roger Blake of the CIF State Office for stopping by. Always a treat to have those guys in the office, and just such a wealth of information that you don't think about day to day necessarily, but when it comes to the grand scope of where we're going with high school sports in California, just valuable information.
Well, and the thing is that
way.
Roger is very transparent in almost everything, and so he doesn't hold back any punches. When you ask him a question, he honestly answers it for you the way that you want it framed. So it's nice to be able to hear that out of him for a guy that oversees all of this that we deal with on a daily basis.
No doubt about that.
Yep.
So thanks to them, and we are moving on now. We're going to talk about the big weekend that will be here in high school sports in Kern County and the Central Section. Of course, the state wrestling.
We call it our election weekend.
That's just a little dig at news reporters, but that's okay. The state wrestling championships at Rabobank Arena are Friday and Saturday. At the same time, the section basketball championships in Fresno, Friday and Saturday in Selland Arena. So let's start with basketball, the section level, and we're going to start in Division 5 girls. This is the first game. It's 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Bakersfield Christian at San Joaquin Memorial, all private school.
Yep, all private school. Memorial playing down in D5 despite the boys playing in the D2, competitive equity. Here you have Memorial, the 1 seed going against BCHS. 2 seed BCHS last played in the finals 2 years ago. Memorial played last year. Memorial's won 8 section titles. BCHS still looking for their first. They're led by junior guard Cameron Taylor, who's 8 straight games of 20 or more plus points, scored 26 of their 41 in their victory over Carruthers, I believe, on Tuesday in the semifinals. So here they are again. Frank Thiessen,
he knows a little bit about winning section titles, doesn't he?
Yeah, you think? So that game's at 2 o'clock. We got 4 games tomorrow. I'm going to be a busy boy, but I'm excited about it. In the D5 bracket, Cal City playing in their first Central Section championship.
The second game tomorrow.
They are a highlight reel type team, and I'm excited to finally see them in person. And they're going to play the 11th seed Carruthers, who has just gone through that bottom half of the bracket, upset after upset.
Beat the 6, the 3, and the 2, I believe.
Yes, so Carruthers playing up, and so we got that Cal City game at 4 o'clock.
And Cal City had to go to overtime to get through its semifinal against Dos Palos, so that Cal City hasn't had an easy road either.
Yep, and then in the D2 girls finals, 6 o'clock, a rematch from last year. Independence, the 2-time defending D2 champs led by Jasmine Dixon and Kalasia Dean, the junior, who's really just kind of going off. Deja Wandick in there. It's the same group that's won it the last 2 years. They're back again, and they're going against BHS, coached by Rashawn Sheehy in his first year. Nate Johnson over at Independence, coaching his first year after taking over for Val Mancera. BHS led by Taylor Caldwell, Kiara Frank, McKenna Swing. I mean, this is a very good BHS team. They played back in December, Independence winning, but I'll tell you this right now, that game will look nothing like what we'll see tomorrow night, because I think both of those teams are playing about as high level as anybody outside of the track this year.
As I recall, last year in that game, it was kind of an ugly.
It was
ugly.
It was very ugly.
Yeah.
I think at one point, I mean, it was still both teams were, in the 20s going into the fourth quarter, and then Independence started to pull away, get a couple layups, get a little bit more fast breaks, and pull away.
And it's interesting because all year we've said this is going to be a rematch. We're going to see these two teams again in the final, and sure enough, it happened. But it just goes to show you can't necessarily predict anything, because I think if I'm remembering correctly, Tuesday night was not a good night for me, but both teams were behind at halftime. I think BHS and Independence, and had to rally in the second half in their semifinals, and so. Nothing's for sure. So, you have to sort of take advantage of an opportunity when you get it, and these teams
and
are
we'll
back.
get into another team that was much like that. Actually, the next 2 teams that we'll talk about, the final 2 teams, really, in the same predicament. The last game tomorrow night, Ridgeview, who lost to Lemoore in the D2 finals last season, gets another shot with their big 2 in Justin McCall and Jordan Roberts, going against San Joaquin Memorial. That is kind of like Ridgeview was 3 years ago, where they had the 2 young studs and Jalen Green and Dion Stroud. Stroud's a sophomore. Jalen Green, number 2 ranked freshman in the state, according to Cal High Prep's Ronnie Flores. very young, very talented team. But you look at Ridgeview, a team that's been there now, two guys that have a bad taste in their mouths. Quentin Croney's there. Harold Hardage is there. Ronan Burke's coming off the bench. But the guy that kind of solidifies it all is the new guy, L.J. Ziegler, who was a transfer out of Oakland. Family moved down here in the summer. It's going to be really interesting. And you look at it, Ridgeview, another team, Roberts, who had that ankle injury in the regular season finale against Independence, they didn't want to play him in the quarterfinals. They got the first round bye. They didn't want to play him in the quarterfinals, but Tulare Union had a 9-point halftime lead. And Mike Martin said, you got to play. Roberts scores 13 points in the second half. They pull away. They win it. And they won handedly over Redwood in the semifinals last night. Roberts told Jeff Evans his ankle's 80%, but I think Jordan Roberts at 80% is 100% better of 95% of kids playing basketball in the Central Section.
How's that math work out? I'm not sure.
It doesn't matter. But 60% of the time, it works every time.
Point is, you'd like to have him out there for sure.
Yep. And then tomorrow night.
So that's for all 4 of those games are Friday, and then nothing on Saturday for Kern County. There's 6 games Saturday. None of them have Kern County teams until the very last one.
Which is extraordinary because we've never talked about this before.
It's extraordinary that it's never happened before.
It's extraordinary that it's never happened, that no Kern County team has ever played in the boys' Division I basketball championships at Selland Arena since they moved there in 2005. The last team from Kern County to play in the D1 finals was BHS in 2004. The last team to win a D1 title was BHS in 2003. Since then, nobody from Kern County has ever played at Selland Arena in the late game and the granddaddy of them all, but BHS is doing it. They're actually the 3 seed. I did not change that, but that is the 3 seed BHS. They got a gift from Bullard, who beat the 2 seed Clovis West in the quarterfinals, and then BHS, gosh, they were down 12 at one point. Bullard went on a 16-0 run in the first quarter. It was like a 23-11 Bullard lead. And you're looking at it, you're like, is this more Amundsen magic when you think about Tim, who coaches Bullard, who won 3 section titles in the D1 for Clovis East. And then after that, his younger brother, Tony, won 3 section titles for Bullard after that. So 6 out of 7 years, the 2 brothers who were proteges of Vance Wahlberg at Clovis West, you look, maybe that magic is back again. And then BHS just chips away, Xavier Esquivel's hitting 3. Jeremiah Foster's playing great, Jeremiah Dickerson is playing great defense. Ronnie Stapp taking charges. Clayton Pruitt cleaning up in the middle. That team, R.J. Banks, who everybody thought was going to be done for the year, comes back and plays 5 minutes at the end of the game and scores 4 points. Shane Jones, they're saying, he could play on Saturday. Pump the brakes there. I don't think that's going to happen, but, congratulations to those guys.
That's going to be a fun game because both of those teams don't mind running up and down the court.
No,
they fly high. They move the ball. I mean, it's going to be a fun basketball game.
It was 79-77 the first time around. BHS went in that Clovis West North-South tournament. Central, hot, really hot. And you look at it, it's funny. They've won 10 straight games. They're 19-6. Of those 6 losses, 4 of them, Ridgeview, BHS, Ridgeview again, and then Salesian up in the Bay Area. All 4 of those teams still playing. The other ones, Clovis West and Independence. Independence just season ended last night. BHS, on the other hand, 21-10. 6 of those 10 losses to teams still playing. Westchester at LA, Ridgeview again. Bishop Montgomery ranked number 1 in the state by Cal High Preps. Torrance from down in the LA area. Bellarmine out of San Jose and Stanwood of Washington. All of those teams that BHS lost to and learned from in those games, still playing basketball. And part of the reason why BHS and Central are still doing the same thing, because they took their lumps, learned from it, and have gotten better.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So a good basketball weekend up at Selland Arena. Here at Rabobank Arena in Bakersfield, it will be state wrestling. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show with a look at some of the state wrestling brackets. Stay tuned.